How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the final round of the World Championship Challenge hosted by Zelda VGC. I am Eric, once again joined by Lou.
What is up, everybody?
And we are jumping straight into this match. Oh my gosh, so many turns have already passed by already. So we have a very interesting team here from JUYOP here, with the Latias and the Staraptor. And then we have another X-Ray build coming out from Ryan here.
This team from Ryan is typically resembles the earlier teams that we saw from like the start of the format, the earlier X-ray builds before everyone like was using Nihiligo. But from JUYOP, also super interesting, as well as a couple turns have already gone by here. Is we have Tailwind up on JUYOP side, Kartana picking up a KO on the Nihiligo, giving it a free switch into this Kyogre. Chaos and Staraptor on each of these, or on JUYOP's team. Super interesting because they're also kind of like similar Pokemon, both kind of Amoonguss answers, both have Tailwinds, so kind of interesting to see like what different matchups he brings them in. As we see Helping Hand going into this Kyogre, getting smacked by that E-Speed. Is that enough to make Cart lift the spout? It is, as Leaf Blade is going to come out here, pick up the KO there. Great play Ryan there to make sure that he was going to be picking up that Kyogre, even with the Helping Hand Water Spout. Not enough to kill that Kartana.
Yeah, that was a pretty clever play going for that E-Speed into the Kyogre, basically making it so that this Kartana is able to live that Water Spout. We're going to see Kartana go down there to the combination of Extreme Speed plus Icy Wind, as Rayquaza on Ryan's side is going to switch out now for the Incineroar, as Xerneas is going to protect, likely to set up this this very conventional endgame of Fake Out plus Geomancy. But we have we seen JUYOP's last Pokemon yet? I don't think we have. So if he has Celesteela in the back,
Nihiligo and Kyogre.
oh, so Nihiligo's already down.
Nihiligo went down
Oh,
earlier. Kind of interesting to see he didn't bring Celesteela into this matchup, considering it's facing against Rayquaza Xerneas, which is like Celesteela's
yeah,
livelihood.
this is
beating
like
these teams.
this is like a very good matchup for Celesteela.
We see this Geomancy come up. I mean, from this point on, kind of straightforward. As long as you don't get crit, you're going to win this game with Xerneas. I think that's how it's pronounced. Yeah, but even with that Helping Hand Dragon Ascent, -1, still going to be able to take that. And Dazzling Gleam cleans this game up for Hazard. For JUYOP, I mean, the pretty clear adjustment, right? Bring that Celesteela. This Celesteela wants to be sitting in these matchups, eating things for breakfast. And there's also no Tapu Koko for Ryan as well. So there's even less answers to the Celesteela than it normally would. Pretty much the only one is Incineroar. That's pretty much all he has to really hit this thing. Just kind of leech seed everything, heavy slam Xerneas, and just sit there and do what it wants. The problem is that he doesn't have an Incineroar though. Like normally Incineroar supporting your Celesteela with that Intimidate support and like U-turn support in order to really make it effective. So missing out on that is kind of a bit of a blow to how effective Celesteela really is. But in either case, I still think it's the best mon in the matchup as he goes and leads with Nihiligo Rayquaza here into Incineroar Kartana.
Yeah, I definitely think Celesteela is a necessary adjustment for this game, but we're going to see Incineroar's Fake Out go into the Rayquaza as Kartana is going to go for the Smart Strike. I believe this Kartana probably is Assault Vest.
Choice Scarf?
Or Choice Scarf.
No. It Tailwinded.
Oh,
no.
Did it Tailwind? Yeah, because it has Smart Strike. That's the thing. But it also just, well, I mean, it outsped a Rayquaza, but I mean, that's not too uncommon considering, Rayquaza usually doesn't, depending on the set, doesn't run a lot of speed.
There's the Celesteela, and there's a great play.
Yeah, that was a fantastic
play
read
by Ryan.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was necessarily a read. I think it was more just covering the Nihiligo switch.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say, yeah.
Oh, but like the only way that could have really been punished or like neutral, like if Kyogre came in there, because it wouldn't eat the Fire Blitz, and then of course the Kyogre is still of course threatened by the Leaf Blade on the following turn. So that was a great play by Ryan, pretty much to cover all of the options that JUYOP had there. Is a great pin. However, he's still not in the clear yet because this Earth Power can pick up the kill on the Incineroar, despite what happens. And we see the Protect instead, protecting from that knockoff, and the U-turn going into Rayquaza. So again, Ryan playing pretty optimally here. He's able to get his Xerneas in, a pretty decent position, I would say, against, a Rayquaza with drops, Celesteela that's not at best health. I don't think. Actually, I think maybe he's able to pick up a double knockout here with just knock off Dazzling Gleam. He could also switch into Incineroar and Protect, and he decides to actually do bring out the Incineroar, not go for Protect though. I mean, does go for that Dazzling Gleam. If Celesteela lives, might be able to actually get off a Leech Seed here. Yeah, that might actually be huge. That might change the whole of this game, because I don't know if he has the damage to deal with Celesteela anymore, to be perfectly honest, without a Geomancy going up. We're in a position where it's Kyogre Selly versus Xerneas Kyogre. The Leaf Blade goes into the Kyogre. Heavy Slam's going to kill this Kartana, most likely, right? I'm not quite sure on those calcs. So he might be able to get a boost, and then Celesteela might be able to wall out the Xerneas.
Yeah, Xerneas not having that Geomancy boost does make it a bit suspect, considering the damage output going into the Celesteela here, especially now with the Leech Seed up. Wait, so we just saw... What Pokemon did we just see go down from Ryan's side here?
The Ray went down for
that was
JUYOP,
it.
and on Ryan's side, he lost the Incineroar.
Okay, yeah. So one of the biggest pieces there for Ryan in dealing with that Celesteela is now gone, and Celesteela making quite the comeback here.
Heavy Slam do no damage.
Yeah, Kartana has a lot of defense.
Why did I think that was gonna kill?
I mean, maybe because Kartana's really light. I don't know. The weight difference seems to be there, but the typing, and also the stats seem to favor Kartana in that damage calc. But Kyogre gonna go for a double protect. This Kyogre will be able to live this Leaf Blade, considering it's likely this Kartana is likely Assault Vest. Heavy Slam still doing 0 damage, but Celesteela now almost back to full HP after nearly being knocked out when it first came into this battle. So this is just the power of Celesteela, folks. Like, this is just what Celesteela does, and there's a reason WolfClick calls it a third restricted on his team, because it is putting in the work right now.
Imagine that Ryan's gonna regret letting his Incineroar go down the way he did, right? Because his Incineroar really was his main threat to this Celesteela, and the fact that it's gone means Celesteela is just kind of able to run away with this match. Interesting to note, though, that Celesteela got a special defense boost instead of the attack boost, which is different from the normal Celesteela that we've seen, because we've seen Celesteela pretty much on getting the attack boost. And is that banded for Quaza?
It leads me to believe it is, considering it is running Waterfall. Waterfall, even on Assault Vest builds, isn't very common, so this leads me to believe that this could be a choice banded Mega Ray here. But with the double Leech Seed up, there's not really much he can do here against the Celesteela. Wow.
It's cringe flit time.
Yeah.
Cringe flit time.
Yeah, it is.
Crit flinch.
Crit flinch.
There we go. Got it out finally.
Yeah. We're gonna see.
But that's why I was so surprised that he didn't bring the Celesteela in game 1, right? Because it's just, we just saw it. Celesteela single-handedly take this entire matchup to shreds.
Yeah, Celesteela put in the absolute peak amount of work in this game, as it did a combination of sitting there on the field, soaking up Leech Seed recovery, and also dealing out a hefty bit of damage with those heavy slams. But I mean, I don't even think with flinches now. He really needed the flinch there to actually come back in the game, and
flinch probably needed both.
Yeah, he definitely needed both, just for the damage and also the ability for Celesteela to not get any more damage off. But now with this position, it looks like JUYOP is able to take the second game.
And he honestly, like, the way the game started, it seemed like he was in a perfect position to go on and take the dub, especially after nailing the Celesteela with a Flare Blitz on switch in. He gave it the opportunity to come back into the game. And if there's anything you want to do when you're running Xerneas and Rayquaza, you're facing the Celesteela, is do not let that pressure on that thing up. Because once you let it get a couple of those Leech Seeds and leftovers recovery, it ain't going anywhere, folks. Especially if you're X-Ray, right? Because you just don't have the damage output to deal with it. Even with a boosted Xerneas, even with a banded Rayquaza.
Yeah, I'm kind of upset that Celesteela is kind of going to be the star of the show here, because, that probably means we're not going to see Star After. I was kind of curious to see what Star After was going to do in this game, but it doesn't, upon further inspection, Star After does not seem to be quite the best call for this matchup, as, why would you just bring any other Pokemon when you can just lead Celesteela and win the entire... Well, lead, probably not, but, as long as you get rid of that Incineroar, Celesteela can pretty much single-handedly win this entire matchup. And I think it'll be interesting to see how Ryan sort of adapts. I mean, obviously he's probably going to be playing a lot safer with his Incineroar to try to make sure it doesn't go down as early. But yeah, definitely the game plan here for Ryan is to get rid of that Celesteela and make sure it just doesn't 1v4 your entire team.
Yeah, I mean the Nihilego is also actually pretty important. I mean Nihilego and Kyogre both, right, on JUYOP side are pretty good in sense of that they're able to just remove Incineroar and free up Celesteela to do what Celesteela wants. But the Kartana is just so huge, right? Because Kartana is able to just bop the Kyogre. Kartana is able to bop the Nihilego. So he's able to stop the two things that really deal with Incineroar the most. Really interesting to see how they're going to try to position around it, as we
We
do
actually
get
do
to
see
see that Star
Staraptor. Huh,
Raptor.
I guess I spoke too soon.
I think it's. I mean, I don't know if it's better than Nihilego per se, but I mean, you have to assume that the last 2 months in the back here are going to be Kyogre and Celesteela, as we see the Incineroar switch in to get that
Oh,
Intimidate
Draco
off, and the
Meteor.
first Dragon Ascent results in the drops and a Draco Meteor coming out.
Wow,
Huge damage there.
we're just seeing all of the text in game 3 now. So we see that Staraptor is carrying the Z move, the Supersonic Sky Strike, which after the Intimidate, not doing a whole lot to Incineroar, but that damage is very important because now I'm pretty sure even at -1, that might actually be enough to maybe pick up the KO on Incineroar. So, you know, Ryan has to be very careful here now because Incineroar is threatened with the potential knockout here.
If anyone's curious, that turn definitely confirmed that JUYOP is Japanese. Draco Meteor play. All right. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not 100% sure. But, I mean, here, we got this Kartana in a position, right? Like, it can pick up the Rayquaza here and outspeed it. And that's exactly what it decides to do, get that boost. And we're going to see if Staraptor is going for a play that can punish the cart. Wow, interesting to not go for Tailwind there. Because you're assuming he has Kyogre in the back, right? Maybe he doesn't have Tailwind. You kind of just want to force him to target down the Rayquaza. Let you get up the free Tailwind, and from there, Kyogre can probably just click Water Spout, right? But he didn't go for it, and now, I mean, it's not nearly as clear as we thought it was. Maybe the Staraptor doesn't have Tailwind. Not quite sure, but yeah, exactly. Pivot back into that Incineroar. Kartana's still able to do whatever it wants. Go into the Staraptor. Staraptor wants to switch. The only thing it can switch into is a Kyogre, which then gets lead seeded. And as we've seen earlier, the Celesteela can't really deal with the cart. So not getting the speed control to deal with this cart, proving to be costly.
Yeah, definitely Staraptor not really pulling its weight too much in this game after stacking Intimidates on it. As you said, it hasn't revealed Tailwind yet, so we're not even sure if it even has Tailwind yet. It's just shown its offensive capability so far, which so far has been pretty lacking. And also that switch into Kyogre is a potential play for JUYOP in this turn. However, he does have to face the potential risk of Kartana reading that switch and going for a Leaf Blade into that slot. But Celesteela,
Like,
you know, it's kind of, yeah, Celesteela here is, you know, obviously it's in danger of that Incineroar, but Incineroar obviously probably not going to want to stay in considering it has a Leech Seed on it. And we're going to see Xerneas come in here as Celesteela goes for a Heavy Slam, just doing a minimal amount of damage to Kartana as Kyogre comes in.
Problem here is that he really needed to save his Rayquaza in order to deal with the Kartana, like mainly. Once the Ray went down, I mean, there's no way that he could really deal with it. I would imagine that he would have tried, instead of, like, you know, letting the Ray just go down the Smart Strike, he should have tried to maybe reposition Ray and get into a position where he's intimidated the Kartana, so then his Ray can, you know, actually deal with it. And even the switch into Kyogre there doesn't really gain him that much, right? Because even if he switches to Kyogre, then on this turn he can just Leaf Blade it, right? So it's hard to really play around the position that he got into after, you know, the Rayquaza was there. Both of the ways that JUYOP has on his team to try to deal with this Kartana being denied, or try to deal with the Incineroar, right? Because it's a Celesteela team. It's got Celesteela. How do you beat Incineroar? Because Incineroar wall Celesteela. You beat it with Nihilego. You beat it with Kyogre. But this Kartana here is able to just beat both of those things. We see Ryan come out here with the victory.
Yeah, the adjustment to Staraptor in this game was very interesting considering, you know, it was kind of dubious as to what Staraptor's role in this game was going to be. Like, we saw it just throw off a Z move, and obviously with the Intimidate on it, it didn't really do much to the incoming Incineroar. But, I mean, that damage there looked pretty good for JUYOP, but, you know, Ryan was able to play really well in maneuvering his Incineroar to the point where, yeah, it got a Leech Seed on it, but that Leech Seed actually helped proc its berry. So that put it at higher health, which made it even a bigger threat to Celestial in the back. And honestly, Kartana, look at Kartana coming through in this game and just doing work. Like you mentioned how Kartana does really well against the pieces that threaten Incineroar this game. And even though Nihilego didn't come to this game, like Kartana still put up a pretty good effort against the Staraptor even, which is a Pokemon that has a pretty questionable matchup against, considering Staraptor does have access to close combat. And yeah, Cortana really doing a majority of the work here. Like it kind of just let the whole rest of the team take a back seat while Cortana just kept raking in the beast boost there, because it actually managed to get to +3, which means Cortana claimed 3 out of the 4 knockouts.
Yeah, I just find it hard to imagine that there's no Tailwind on the Staraptor, right?
Yeah,
like we saw Protect, we saw Brave Bird. I think those were the only 2 moves we saw. Oh, I don't know Staraptor's moveset. Like Final Gambit, I think people use like Scarf Final Gambit in the years past. I mean, if he had Tailwind, I think you have to go for it. It's hard to imagine Staraptor doesn't have Tailwind. Actually, I just checked chat, so JUYOP, I see you in the chat. Maybe you could shed some light on like the set. But I mean, you're still in the tournament, I think, is he?
Who?
Now, or is he just get eliminated?
Who, JUYOP?
Yeah.
Oh, I think this was an X1 game, so I feel like both of these players are still in contention.
Okay, yeah. Don't reveal information on your team then, since you're still alive and you're still playing. Yeah, if it had Tailwinds, I mean, I think Tailwind there was the way to put him alive in that game.
Yeah, perhaps some potential information that's still being concealed.
Can you confirm that you're Japanese? Even if he's not actually Japanese, well, you're Japanese in spirit. All right.
In spirit. Hey man, Draco Ray.
Deal with
Draco Ray. Draco Ray is a low-key heater tech. I'm a huge fan of Draco Ray. However, it's probably not the most optimal Ray move in this format. I'm still a huge fan of it. But
me too. Anything that outspeeds opposing Rayquaza, or speed tie opposing Rayquaza and hit them for massive damage, potentially Oko. A huge fan of, because Mega Rayquaza is way too busted for us to have to deal with.
Yeah, definitely having that way to immediately remove it is pretty sweet. But yep, that is going to mean the end of the Swiss rounds here, as Ryan aka Keyboardum, moves to 5-1, currently sitting at second on the leaderboard behind Marco Fierro, who is a player we sort of featured earlier on the stream. I think he was a backup match, but he's sitting currently behind Marco Fierro with a 5-1 record, most likely earning him a bye depending on how the rest of the rounds work out here. And JUYOP's still sitting here in let's see, about 15th place at 4-2. So he will be in cut. However, he will have to play the first round. These last couple matches are finishing up here, but we will be back shortly.